Hello everyone, how you doing? You're welcome to this week's Rugby View. Myself, Aidan, Raftery, and the show is always kindly sponsored by Best Ride here in Roscommon Town, and we'd like to thank them for their kind sponsorship. And don't forget, just a reminder about the Rosfm 50-50 draw. You have two options. You can still buy the envelope. That's one for €2 or three for a fiver, or else you can go on to rosfm.ie and you can enter online. So why not support your local radio station by doing the 50-50 draw? And as always, we have this week we have Adrian Leddy from Craig's Rugby Club. Hello, Adrian. How are you? Are you well?
Good afternoon, Aidan. All very good now, yeah.
Great to have you on board as always. Yeah. So I suppose we pick up there. You were saying there you were saying a game yesterday. The colleges is winding up as well. The colleges finals are winding up. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I suppose, like you have all the schools there now and they're probably coming up to exam time. It's actually maybe late in the year for some of the games to be finishing off. But we had a game that had to be sort of fixed between St. Mary's in Ballygar and the community school in Dunmore at under 14 level. So that final was played yesterday in Craig's. In It's yeah, good standard rugby. Yeah, young lads now. A lot of them will be playing other sports as well in both schools. They talking to the PE teachers and the coaches. They would say like that. They try to get them active in all sports. Some of them would be more active in other codes than maybe rugby. But again, it was a good standard of rugby for an under 14 level. Dunmore Community College were probably the stronger side and went on to win the game. But again, it was nice to be able to host it in Craig's, and I presented the trophy to the winning captain from Dunmore at the match.
And I suppose looking at Ballygar as well, they would have shown up well as well. They're a good side as well.
No, they are, yeah, and they have boys and girls there going, and our CRO, Michal Glennon from Craig's, that is involved with Craig's as our CRO with Connacht Rugby, and he's going into Ballygar School, and he would have helped a lot of these young boys and girls that have been featuring for Ballygar School. And it's great to see it. It's great to see them develop. We had a great old stalwart as a teacher there, going back in great clubman Michael Flanagan, previous president of the club. He done stalwart work within Ballygar for rugby over the years, and kept rugby alive. And when I was coaching underage and managing underage teams myself, a lot of our players would actually have come from Ballygar at that particular time as a result of Michael Flanagan's work within the school. And we have the benefit now of Michael Glennon going into a good lot of the schools and the schools here in Roscommon Town, and we've players coming from Glenamaddy and around. So it's great to see the development of rugby in these particular areas, and people that would be travelling down from Dysart and Four Roads and back around into that league, into Roscommon, back down to Strokestown, Tulsa, and all up into Castlereagh and so on. So there's a great hinterland of players and young people there that both boys and girls that want to play the game.
That's it. And I suppose really, if you compare it to, I suppose we said 20 years ago with regards to rugby, there was kind of there wouldn't have been much rugby kind of in those colleges. We say Roscommon CBS and Ballygar and those kind of schools. It would have been just confined to maybe Gaelic football and hurling. So it's great to see a new sport in these colleges as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's good for, you see, like my point to schools principals over the years was that only so many players will get on to a first team or onto either a rugby team or a Gaelic team or a soccer team. And, what do you do with all the other players that's going to the school? And, there's some players maybe more suited for soccer, other players more suited for Gaelic football. And then there's another standard of player that would maybe not make it at Gaelic football or soccer. And if you hadn't rugby there, I've seen players coming through that never played Gaelic or played soccer, and they have turned out to be great rugby players. So there's an itch there for everybody, and some people it's a flavour to give young boys and girls the opportunity to play other sports. And the other thing is that that we have a lot of people when they qualify now in university, they want to maybe go away for a year or two abroad, whether it's to Australia or Canada, America, no matter where, and they're able to take up the sport in these countries as well. We're losing 2 lads now from our first team, and they already have been signed up by a team in Australia. So it's great that they have the experience from Craig's, and they can contribute to a team in Australia and continue to play the rugby. And it's good for them because it gives them an outlet, and it gives them a contact with more friends where they're moving to, and it probably helps them maybe to settle in a place a lot quicker.
That's it, and I suppose really, down the line, if ever they decide to move back home, like, I suppose if economic circumstances in Ireland change and they can find that they can get work back here or whatever, Craig's Rugby Club will be here for them, and maybe they can get involved in a coaching capacity, and give back to Craig's what Craig's has given them.
Oh, absolutely, and that some of these players might only last a year away, or some of them maybe 2 years. I know a number of years ago when the downturn here in the economy, we lost a lot of players at the one time because a lot of them were involved in the construction industry, and a gang of them went to Perth at the time, and it did hit us bad in the club. It took away, I'd say, a good half of the team, of the first team at the time, because they were all young lads, able lads, and they all got work in Cape Town. Now some of them are in Perth in Australia, and a lot of them came back when the economy improved here, and a lot of them are involved in the club now, and some of them have themselves have family members in playing with the club. So it's that's the cycle that you have, and you mightn't see a parent or a young mother or a young father for years. The next thing, their own Johnny or Mary is playing out, and they're back in the club, and they're back involved in the club, and that's the way it goes, and that's the way probably a lot of volunteers come through when their own family is involved in playing within the club.
And it's great to see, and sometimes even like, when that happens, the club the parents actually stay involved in the club as well, which is good as well. They might instead of, like, obviously they're still parents, but what they'd stay involved in the club in another capacity, maybe helping out in other ways, which is great, and it's their way of staying involved. And as you say, the sons or daughters might go away, and then when they come back, they'll get back into supporting their son or daughter when they start coming back, getting involved in it, and that, which is great to see. So so we'll get back into I suppose Craig's Rugby Club now. As I say, it's more or less come to an end. What are your thoughts, or has there been anything happening in the club this week or last week?
Well, I suppose we had a lovely event there at the weekend where we handed out the medals to our under-18 girls. It was a brilliant night, and it was a brilliant night all round, Aidan, and I'll touch on it later on. But it was the night that I stayed back for the presentation in Craig's without travelling up to Belfast for the game. but it was a great night to be able to watch the game in Belfast and then go on to presenting your own team under our successful under 18s girls side with their medals, both the losers medals in the league and the winners medals for winning the cup for the Connacht under 18 cup competition, which they won a number of weeks back in Claremorris against Chumuk Gerard, which was a great achievement for them. And there was also awards for special players and fairness to the coaching of Dave and Siobhan Purcell, Yvonne McPhillips, and a number of other people that put in the effort with them. They had worked out kind of a presentation for people that put in the work or that there during the year and in various capacities. And it was a lovely touch, and it went down very well. And I would pay tribute to all the coaches and to the commitment shown by all the girls over the season. Some of them got honours, some of them played at under 18 level for Connacht. Four of them was involved with the Irish squad as well. So, it was a great year for the girls in Craigs, and some of our under 16s are involved in the development squad too with Connacht. So then they had the success. The girls within the convent, a lot of the same girls are involved with the convent here in Roscommon Town, and some of them with the school in Ballygar as well. So all round it was good, and they're currently now involved in a seven-a-side with Connacht. Connacht has set up a sevens squads, and the clubs will be involved with that during the summer. And there'll be also development squads training for the interpros that will be coming up later in the year. There will be training sessions and that there during the summer months as well. So there's really no rest for the elite and the top players within these particular squads, and the same goes true for the boys as well. A lot of the underage boys teams and players, they're involved in coaching with Connacht and involved in being involved in them development squads as well, and they're actually taking place there. Some of the development squads in Craigs on every week on a Wednesday night now. So it's great to see the club and that they're being used so much by Connacht, and that our own players can take part in these development squads.
And I suppose from you, from a personal point of view, being involved in the club and your position in the club, it must be it must have been a proud year for you to see, all the various achievements by all the players and all the teams. Like all the titles that was won by the club, and none more so than at every age group, underage team, but also with regards to how well and the coaching through the years, how that has come through, and you've seen it with the first and second teams who have both won titles as well, which is great to see. So really, both at underage and senior level, or shall I say, adult level, it's been a huge year really for the school, and as you said, or for the club, and as you said as well, with the with some of the players, both boys and girls, being involved with Connacht, and obviously rugby, or with Connacht, and of course a few people involved with the Ireland teams as well. It's been a hugely proud year for you to be able to look at and see the achievement by individual players and players collectively as in the various teams.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed being involved in what they call in grassroots rugby. There's nothing better than being involved with your own people and involved within your own club, and see players coming through at various stages of their life and growing up, and seeing them coming through on mini rugby into youth rugby and then into the senior rugby. And it's a great year, Aidan, as you rightly said, to look back on. To win the junior league, that was our aim at the beginning of the year, was to try and take that junior league off Connemara, and we achieved that, and that was the main achievement of the year. And then the icing on the cake was our second team doing so well as well, and winning their section in the cup, in the kind of cup competition. So all in all, between our first and seconds and youth, it has been a great year for the club, and we have been also in a lot of other underage finals and youths, but we may not have won them, but it's some achievement to get into Connacht finals and to be able to play a high standard of rugby in front of your parents and home support in the sports ground. So it was. I can honestly say, being president this year, it was a very enjoyable year to be part of the club, Aidan.
And of course, we never forget the mini rugby section as well. It's been a hugely important year as well, as it always is for mini rugby. And so many very successful, as there always is, very successful blitzes that have gone throughout the season as well. And it's great to see the kids enjoying those as well. And it's like we've said on a number of occasions on here that they're huge. They're hugely key, or they really are a key part in those, play a key part in these kids developing their rugby skills as well. So it's great to see the blitzes and how important they are.
Yeah, and that has been acknowledged. It was acknowledged by our own club at the dinner, the annual dinner this year. That Shane Fleming, who's heads up the mini rugby section, that he was made club person of the year, and like the Shane and his wife Orla and all the coaching staff have done huge work over the last number of years with the development of mini rugby, and that has also been acknowledged. Shane and his team of coaches have been also acknowledged there within the last week by Connacht Rugby as well. No more than our youth rugby chair as well, and Dave Purcell has been acknowledged by the IRFU in getting an award from the IRFU. So it's just nice to see these particular coaches that's putting in massive amount of voluntary time into the club, that they have been acknowledged for their work, not alone within the club, but within Connacht and within the IRFU as well. So it's a nice thing for them, because like they every Saturday morning for Shane and his team, they're out there with boys and girls for the future players. They are mainly between 7 and 12 years, and maybe some 13-year-olds there before they go on to play on their 13 level. So it's a huge commitment, and they are the backbone, and eventually will be the backbone of the club going forward. And when you are doing a new development, and you're often wondering, are we spending all this money and we won't have players, because we have seen clubs develop great facilities, and unfortunately then with immigration and all, and particularly rural clubs in certain areas, they don't maybe have the players afterwards. But we're delighted that on average we'd have up on 200 between boys and girls there training, and it's fantastic to see, and we see that growth will continue within the club, and there's a great future for the club, and that's why we would like to say that we'll have facilities for them in the years to come when we move on, that these younger coaches and younger players themselves, when they come on themselves, that the facilities will be there for them, mate.
That's it, and I'm sure there's much to look forward to from these teams next year. The players that move up to the next level of underage, and of course, people from we say players from under 18s and that moving into the second or first team next season. So it's very exciting to look forward to next year and our next season, and of course next season with the World Cup as well. There'll be huge excitement in the club, and indeed all the clubs around the country as well. And so we'll move on and look at AIL level now with I suppose Buccaneers but with Buccaneers as well as Sligo, and of course the clubs like that. The things are kind of winding out, and Carrick-on-Shannon Rugby Club as well. Things have wound down there, but what we'll do is we'll have a look at what's been going on in those clubs this week, and we'll do a season review of how things have gone with the clubs throughout the season.
Yeah, the AIL competition is finished up for the year. All the playoffs and that they have taken place, and the final of the AIL took place in the Aviva at the weekend there between Terranure and Clontarf, and Terranure came out very much on top. They revenged last year. Clontarf were the winners, but Terranure went out all determined this year and played an exceptionally good game against Clontarf, and it's great to see, and good standard of rugby at AIL level. Some of them players are probably good enough to play at a higher level within the interprovincial team. So I'm sure some of the coaches are looking at some of these players, and more so within the IL. And within Buccaneers, the Buccaneers unfortunately didn't make it to get promotion this year. But again, they held their place within the division, and they'll be there to have a crack at it next year. And they'll probably, maybe looking back on their season, they'll say, well, when we were in a good position with 4 games to go and we let it slip, and they'll be just, I'm sure, asking how it's happened and how they can maybe better it for the following season. And with Sligo would have the reverse to that. That Sligo did very well in the latter end of the season and got into the playoffs. Now they didn't get promoted, but they got into the playoffs for promotion. But they had a great season, and they ended up runners up in the league, which was great. Buccaneers didn't have their awards night. They had a big night that they presented the awards to all their top players at the various levels between senior and youth level. Now the Buccaneers would no more than Sligo would have had an exceptionally good year at youth level. The Buccaneers would have won a number of youth games, youth finals, and they also qualified for a lot of other finals as well. So again, it has been a good year at that level for both Buccaneers and Sligo. Carrick-on-Shannon, again, Carrick-on-Shannon would have done well and competed very well at senior level this year, and also their underage structure is continuing to improve, and they're also expanding into schools in Leitrim, and also into North Roscommon up to the school in Boyle and so on. So they're taking in a bigger hinterland there. They're also in the development process of developing their grounds in Carrick-on-Shannon as well. So when they have better facilities, I'm sure they will attract a lot more young boys and girls into the club.
That'll be great as well, and of course it's great to see all those 3 clubs. So we'd like to say well done to Craig's and of course Buccaneers, Carrick Rugby Club, and of course Sligo on the great work that's going on there. And I suppose next up we'll have a look at Connacht, and it's great to see Connacht have progressed to a semi-final. I believe it's great to see that, and of course the Murray brothers, the Murrays have been playing their part in that, and so it's great to see Jack Harty back to his form, and of course Dennis Buckley and various people like that. It's a great way to finish off the season.
Yeah, it was a very exciting game in Kingspan Stadium in Belfast last Saturday night, and again a fantastic game, a fantastic show by Connacht. They didn't let Ulster into the game. They defended very well. If anything, they should have won by a lot more. Aidan, they butchered a number of tries. They had a number of opportunities, and one reason or another, they seemed to get stage fright when they got inside their opposition 22. So let's hope now, as a result of the great result in Belfast, they travelled on Tuesday to South Africa. They're landed in Cape Town on Wednesday and had a training session on Wednesday in the Stormers. And during the month of January, I spent the month of January in Cape Town myself, and I went to one of the Stormers games against Claremont in the Urban Cup, and it was a fantastic stadium. It was a stadium that was built at the time for the Olympics and for the soccer tournament, and it's a great stadium in the centre of Cape Town, and I know that the lads will enjoy playing there, and hopefully they're going to be up against it. It is going to be from a tough game last weekend, from the long travel out to Cape Town, to expect them to perform to the level that they performed against Ulster, but they will have to be able to stick with the Stormers. Stormers are a very strong physical side with a number of South African players on the team. But Andy Friend and his coaching staff has given a clear bill of health to all the players that did play last weekend, that they all travelled to Cape Town. So he has a good hand to pick from, and as you mentioned, a number of players there, and it was great this week to see the announcement that two of our kind of players made the URC elite squad. So in Phelan Beale and our own Niall Murray from Kiltoom, and Niall is a young man, has come into that team, and he has really grown in stature in playing in the second row, and he's probably one of the highest steals of lineouts. I think over 16 that he has got this year, playing for Connacht. So Niall is a great future. He's a great athlete. I have been watching Niall and have been away with him on various when I was involved with the RFU and under 18 level and so on, and we did see a great future for Niall at that stage, and we knew that he had to be fast tracked into development squads and playing at a higher level of rugby, and he's showing that no more than his younger brother coming along as well now. So we'd like to see that the likes of the Murrays, our own Dennis Buckley, Jack Hartis, that all them perform well now on Saturday afternoon, and we'll be all glued to television or whatever channel we can get it on to watch the game, and we wish them all well on Saturday.
And of course, moving on then to, I suppose, a review of the season for the Ireland men's team. Of course, the under-20s team as well, and of course the women's team. It's been a great season for the Ireland team. They had a good November internationals section, and of course they were brilliant in the Six Nations as well. And now they're preparing for the World Cup to prepare for as well. So obviously when the season finishes now, they'll probably start getting involved with Ireland camps and things like that ahead of the World Cup. So I suppose we look back at the season for all the Ireland teams.
Yeah, well, there's a good bit of rugby yet to play there, and it's great to see more than Connacht in the RUC semi-final to see that there is two other Irish teams and that we have three Irish teams in the semi-finals in Leinster and Munster, and Leinster and Munster play on Saturday evening as well. So again, that will be the RUC, so it will be down to maybe one or two Irish teams left in the competition. So it'll be good to see two Irish teams getting through to the final. But we have to wait and see there. And then Leinster is involved in the European Champions Cup, and they're in the final against La Rochelle, which has been coached by the famous Munster out half and Irish out half Ronan O'Gara. So that will be a great battle and a great game to look forward down the line as well. So there is a lot of rugby to play for there before the international team gets together. And you're right, like that the whole focus afterwards, and we'd be hoping that there'll be no more severe injuries to players that they'd end up missing out on the World Cup, because it's always a worrying time that they'll have a few severe injuries, because the time is short enough now between the end of the season and come September for when the World Cup starts. The warm-up games will take place in August, and then they head to France then for the World Cup in September. So it has been a great year for Irish rugby, and overall, when you look at it to see where we're at provincial level, I think it shows that we have the proper structure of the four provinces within Ireland, and to be able to bring out the best in players and working together with a lot of the players that there's excess players in Leinster that they have moved to some of the other provinces in order to get a higher standard of rugby, and that has helped and has very much helped the Irish game of rugby, to try and keep as many of our top players happy and to keep them in Ireland so that they are available for the Irish team.
That's it, and that's hugely important. So, just to let the folks know, unfortunately, this is going to be the last podcast of Rugby View with myself and yourself for this year. And I just want to thank you very much for taking the time out every week throughout the season to be with us and to give us your thoughts on what's been happening in the various clubs at various levels throughout the season. And I'm sure there's a number of people you want to thank as well, like maybe the sponsors of Craig's Rugby Club, and maybe all the teams and this, that, and the other, and coaches and things like that that have played a huge part in the season.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like as I said, there's so many people involved. Even without going on a broader basis outside the club, but within the club alone. The amount of volunteers that we have, the amount of people that are chairing various committees. We have a good structure, that we have various committees like the football committee, like the finance committee, like the house committee, like the grounds committee. All these strands are working there themselves, and then they all come into the overall committee. And it makes my job easier as president with the type of work that they're heading up as chairs of the various committees and reporting back into me on maybe on some occasions nearly on a daily basis. So it's great to have that, and to have that type of support, and to have people that are prepared to give it that amount of voluntary time. And without the sponsorship that we are getting from our main sponsors like Warren Burke, Murray Timber, a number of them out there that that is continually to supporting us all the time. We have a lot of small sponsors that it gets hoardings all around the pitches and so on. We have then we have another major source of income is our lotto, our weekly lotto, and we'd encourage anybody there to join up on the lotto, because it's a it's the main trust of funding coming into the club, and as well as the membership. But again, I would like to thank all the people that supported the various draws that we had in the last year as well. That they were very successful, and we got great support from the overall community in the Craig's catchment area and far and wide. And it's great to see, and it's great to see that there is such support for the club out there in the local community.
That's great, and and I suppose really it's great to see that, and we'll be looking forward to another great season, hopefully with all the teams again next season, and of course you can take a break now, and you can I suppose the next big thing after when this season finishes at URC level. It's the World Cup, and I suppose Ireland camps and different things like that. It's plenty to look forward to. So we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and watching the video every week, and it's been great covering rugby throughout the season, and we look forward to doing it all next season. And in the meantime, enjoy your time off, and I'm sure you'll be still involved in different things, I suppose, in rugby throughout the summer as well.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Aidan, for all your coverage, and to Roscommon FM for their great coverage of rugby throughout the season. And again, as you well know, the off season, a lot of work has to be put in to get everything up and running for the next season. And the AGM will be our next plan now for the first Thursday in June, and the getting all the coaching staffs up for senior rugby and then coaching staffs for youth rugby, and all that type of work is done in the off season. So again, thanks to everybody, and thanks to yourself for hosting this program.
No problem. Thanks very much. And that was Adrian Leddy from Craig's Rugby Club. And thanks very much, Adrian. And we'll talk to you again at the beginning of the season, or when things start to get active again in the club. So we'll talk to you then.
Thank you very much, Aidan.
No problem. Thanks very much. And yeah.